Okay, so the purpose of this session is more educational and information rather than expecting anything. So some of you might choose to do this CMC program sometime down the road. And it's okay. I was also thinking that it's nice that we have this so that I can record, and next time when I run my CMC, I can just send them
Just
the
the same.
recording. Yeah, I just send them the recording. All right, so I'm going to share a few slides. Yeah, actually four slides only. All right, just give me a minute, and I will share that. Okay, so so the certified master coach, we're going to talk about this now. And before we jump into the requirements and the advantages of that, first I need to introduce you two terms, right? Uh, and training programs by ICF is divided into two categories, ACSTH and ACTP. And ACSTH basically are training programs that has about 30 hours of content and training above, right? Whereas ACTP is 125 minimum and above. So, and the key difference between ACSTH and ACTP is that training providers actually assess the participants for the ACC or PCC credential, and that's good enough for ICF. So, in order to qualify for ACTP program, there were stringent requirements by ICF to look at how we assess and our training delivery content and so on. Whereas ACSTH is more of training providers who fulfill the criteria of 80% core competencies training, and that's about it. So the other requirements are not really looked into. So the CMC program is basically an ACTP program, all right? And it is actually made up of three parts: part one, part two, part three. All of you have actually completed part one and two, which is the CMPC, all right? And if you apply for your ACC, it will be under the ACSTH path because CMPC only take you up to 60 hours. Whereas if you were to complete part three, then you will graduate as an ACTP program, and we'll talk more into that later. So, can you see everything on the table? All right. So these are the requirements by ICF for ACC, PCC, MCC: the learning hours, the coaching hours, mentoring, the CK exam, the recordings that you need to send to ICF for assessment, and the assessment fee. So, other than the different requirements in learning hours, coaching hours, and others, the CKA exam you only need to do once. And either you do it at the ACC application stage, and once you've done that, if you go for PCC, you don't have to do the CKA. All right. However, if you skip ACC and you go straight into PCC, you will still need to do the CKA. So you only do it once. And of course, the MCC CKA doesn't apply because you would have done it because the prerequisite is a PCC requirement. So far, any question? No. Huh? Now, if you notice in terms of application fee for ICF to be assessed, ACTP applicants actually pay a lower fee compared to ASCTH. Now, either you're a member of ICF or you're a non-member. If you're a member, you pay a lower fee for assessment. If you're a non-member through ACTP path, then you pay USD 300, all right, slightly more. And same goes for the ACSTH, a member and a non-member. So
Sorry,
far,
Mikey.
yeah,
Mikey, can I,
yes,
sorry to interrupt.
go ahead.
Member of what?
Member of ICF. In other words,
Okay.
you pay ICF a membership fee annually, and then you are a member. Any other questions?
How much is the member fees? I'm just wondering.
Member fees is, I don't have the latest figure, but I believe it is 275 or something like that.
Okay. USD, right?
Yes, dear.
Okay.
Are we good, or is there any further questions pertaining to this table? All right. The next table is basically how does the CMC correlate with the requirements of ICF? So you will notice that there are two roles, the CMPC, which all of you are graduates, and the CMC. So if you choose to take CMC either now or later, you will complete part 3, which will put you at the ACTP path. So when you apply for PCC or ACC, you'll be applying at the ACTP path. The fee that you pay will either be decided by if you are a member or a non-member. Open for question.
Are the fees based on, so the fees are based on virtual?
Yes, for the CMC, we are running a virtual program because most of the CMC applicants are from other countries also. So chances of running it as a face-to-face is pretty low so far in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I have a question, YK.
Sure, go ahead.
So for part 3 alone, learning hours itself is 135,
Yes.
okay, which is almost double part 1 and part 2 combined.
No, part 1, it is part of 62. So in other words, you only go through 75 hours.
Oh, okay.
You have already completed 62 hours.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So that means 135 means part 1, 2, and 3 now.
Yes, that's right. Oh, actually, I should correct that. Yeah, it's correct. So CMC part 3 is only 75 hours.
And coaching hours assignment 12 hours, that is what is that?
So part of the program is that you need to coach outside the program, and you look for 6 coaches, and you accumulate 12 hours. So some coaches can be 1 hour, some coaches can be 3 hours, but the total is 12 hours through total number of coaches as 6 or more.
So the CMC coaching hours are the 12 hours are in addition to the 6 hours or inclusive?
It's over and above. So,
Okay.
yeah. So CMPC, you have 6 hours, and then you just add another 12 hours. So these 2 coaching hours will add on to your journey towards your 100 or 500.
Will may I ask, will the training providers provide the coaches?
No, these coaches, you can either coach your peers in the class outside the training program, or you can actually coach anyone else.
YK, hi, this is Hisham here.
Yes.
So if I were to look at these two tables, is the CMPC and CMC certification program, is this an alternative to the first table, or is this just like a part of the route to get to the first table?
So the first table, that is the top table,
Yeah.
Is ICF requirements for credentialing.
Yeah.
The second table is how does our program meet those requirements.
I see. Okay, so if I look at the coaching hours required by the ICF, for example, so if we were to go for the CMPC and CMC certification program, those coaching hours are still required.
The 100 and 500, yes, they are still required.
I see. Okay, so it's not like if we were to do the CMC program, you basically you still get to PCC, but without having to go through the the first table requirement?
No, you still have to fulfill that.
I see. Okay. Okay, clear. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Rebecca.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering from the time let's say I finish the extra 75 hours after the 62 hours, and I go through the coaching assignment and everything,
Mhm.
to fulfill the 500 hours, how long do I have before I can fulfill the 500
There,
hours?
there is no time limit to accumulate 500 hours by ICF. However, the last 50 hours has to be within 2 years. So if you accumulate 500 hours over, say, 5 years, for example, all right, um, and your last uh, and your last 2 years is only 20 hours, so you need to make up another 5 more hours to make it 25 in terms of recency of your coaching hours.
All right, I understand. And this 125 hours will be covered in your cost that's mentioned below, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is more than 125, 10 hours more. So if you do your MCC later on down the road, you will just need another 65 hours to meet the 200 ICF requires.
And again, no time limit.
No time limit.
All right, thank you. Thanks.
The only thing that has time limit is once you have your ACC or PCC, all right, you need to renew them every 3 years, all right, and that renewal is 40 learning hours every 3 years. So you need to do that. Otherwise, your credential will lapse.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. YK, I have another question.
Sure.
Would it be absolutely necessary to do the certification program if we were to go for ACC and PCC and MCC?
So your question is, do you need to go through a certification program either through us or through another person?
Correct. Yeah. So if I look at the learning hours, right, because my understanding is that to move from now to ACC to PCC and NCC is all depends on the coaching hours and the CKA exam.
Yes.
So I guess to put it another way is that why, to put it bluntly, apologies, why would I need the certification, the CMPC and CMC program?
All right. So there is another path which is instead of ACTP and ACSTH, ICF has another path called the portfolio path. So
Okay.
portfolio path is that you will learn your coaching hours through a training provider that is not accredited by ICF. All right. And the only requirement for portfolio participants is that they need to provide a list of curriculum, who the trainers are, and details of what you have learned. So the requirements to be vetted through that you meet the ICF requirements are higher. More stringent. So when you go through a certification path, either through us or through another training provider, that certificate is good enough for ICF to say that you qualify to apply for this, provided other requirements are met.
Right. Okay. And so once we have done the certification program, then the focus is very much on getting the coaching hours.
That's right.
I see. Okay. And would the certification program helps towards the CKA exam?
No, you still have to do the CKA exam.
But in terms of the syllabus or the contents for the CKA exams, I mean, where can we learn for that?
Okay. The CKA is actually coach knowledge assessment, right? It is made up of 155 objective-based questions that will test you on your understanding of the ICF competencies. All right. Now, starting early next year, the CKA exam is going to move from 155 questions to 200 questions. And that's why many participants are trying to catch the boat before the boat leaves, and they have to do 200 questions. So you have actually learned the competencies during the CMPC, and it basically is just applying your understanding on those competencies.
I see. Okay.
I can actually send you some examples of questions how they set it so that you get an idea.
Okay. So sorry to be asking again, okay. So then if I look at the 135 or the 70 plus learning hours additional, right, to do the part 3. So what would that contribute towards help? I mean, you know, I'm saying for I mean, basically, why would I need that?
So when you complete part 3 and you apply for ACC, you don't have to submit the one recording to ICF, but you submit that as a completing requirement for us to assess.
I see.
So once we assess and you pass with that certificate, all you need to do is to show that you have 100 hours and you'll get your ACC.
I see. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I hear another voice.
Yeah, that was Annie. That was me. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Annie.
Hi, YK. Long time. YK, I may miss the earlier question. If we were to go for PCC at 500 coaching hours, is that plus 100 ACC or PCC is just 500 flat?
So it is plus the 100, so you get another 400. So in other words, if you had your ACC already, all you need is another 400.
Okay. Okay, I'm not yet an ACC and I'll choose to go for PCC. I will have to do 500 in total.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. The only difference is that if you do the CMC program and once you've graduate and you got your certificate, then all you have to do is once you've got your 100 hours, submit that certificate with you attesting that you have 100 hours and you will get your ACC. Any other questions?
Yes, please. Me. YK, I think the main difference here is the top part is ICF credentials.
Yes.
The bottom part is the certification.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, if we follow the bottom path and we don't go for we don't need to go for credentialing anymore. So how is the standing of this certification against credentials?
So a certification is actually provided by the training provider. All right. So in other words, when you are a certified coach with us, it means to say that you have actually fulfilled all the requirements of the program, and you can call yourself a certified coach. All right. So you can come from another training provider, and they can certify you also. However, an ICF credential is globally recognized, meaning to say that sometimes some training provider don't recognize the certification of another training provider because of quality differences. However, if you have a credential from ICF, it is like globally accepted that you have fulfilled the requirements of ICF, and all training providers would basically recognize that. Same goes with potential clients. Over the last couple of years, I've got more and more requests from clients who's looking for coaches, and one of the requirements is they put in as a credential ICF coach.
Have this certification program that you're running been not accepted before by any countries?
So the question of accepted by any other countries actually does not arise, because every country have their own training providers and certification. All right. Now, when you graduate from an ICF accredited training program like ours, or any other training program accredited by ICF throughout the world, most of the accredited training program provider will recognize, because we all go through the same stringent requirement by ICF. Does that make sense?
It does. I was just wondering, if I were to say live in Australia, for example, and I have your certification,
Yes.
CMC up to CMC.
Mhm.
So therefore, there's no guarantee that they will accept it. But if I have an ICF credential, there's no question that they will not accept it. Am I right to understand it that way?
So it depends on what you mean by they, right? Who are these they? So if you are, for example, going to further your training with an Australian training provider, and you say that I've got 60 hours, 62 hours, or I've got 135 hours, they will recognize the 135 hours and add on to whatever hours that you're going to learn. All right. However, if you learn from a training provider that is not accredited by ICF, sometimes they may doubt the quality of that 135 hours or 60 hours that you have learned. Does that make sense, or is that your question?
Somewhat, yes, thanks. Somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah, YK, I have another question.
Yes.
So to apply for PCC, we need 500 coaching hours plus an additional 120. Let's say I've only got 60 learning hours so far. I applied for ACC, and then now I'm going for PCC. So I need to clock 500 hours and an additional 65. If I look at the top table, another 65 learning hours. Is that it?
Okay. So, would you say again?
So if I'm going for credentialing of PCC and I did ACSTH, so I had only 60 learning hours. So when I'm going for PCC and applying for it, does it mean that I need another 65 learning hours?
Yes.
And the learning hours can be accumulated through coaching school.
Yes.
Okay. All right, got it.
YK, Fanny here.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so I'm looking at the bottom chart, the CMPC and CMC. So okay, so let's say in my case, right, I already completed CMPC. I'm looking for long-term, MCC. Okay, so if I'm going to sign up for a CMC, which will give me 135 learning hours, and because I had already completed CMPC, I already have 62 learning hours. So by completing CMC, that means in total, the learning hours will be 197.
Actually, my chart is not accurate. The 135 includes the 62.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that means for MCC, I also have to attend another program, right? To
Yes.
complete the 200 learning hours.
Yes, you have to just top up another 65 hours.
Right, okay.
Mm.
So in short, for ACC, for PCC, MCC, we have to go for different program with a certain number of learning hours.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
So if you notice the top table, learning hours 60, 125, and 200, they are cumulative.
Okay.
Mm.
YK.
Hi.
Hi, sorry, Hisham again. So just to summarize, if I understand what we've discussed so far correctly, is that if I want to go for PCC and then subsequently to MCC, basically I have no choice but to go through the CMC program or equivalent. Yeah.
You have no choice. Actually, you have choice. Because you already have 62 hours, you can actually get your PCC requirement of 125 hours by taking another 65 hours, either from us or from any other training provider that's accredited by ICF.
That's what I meant. So I will still have to do a course, whether it's with you or whether it's another training providers.
Yes, yes.
Right. Yeah. So in short, if I want to go for PCC, I would have to do the CMC or CMC equivalent, whether it's through you
Yes.
or through another training providers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So YK, can I understand? So if I follow through on the CMC ACP course part 3, at the end of the course, assuming I pass, I will be certified PCC.
Assuming you pass our program, you will hold the certification called Certified Master Coach. When you apply through ICF, all right, for the PCC with 500 hours, then you will get your PCC.
Okay, so it's exactly the same as what we are now. I'm non ACC, but I'm certified coach. So it's just a higher level, and it's not, can't call myself PCC certified.
No,
Is that correct?
Yes, you cannot. Just
Okay.
like you cannot call yourself ACC certified until and unless you have your 100 hours, and if you don't take the CMC and you apply ACC, you go through the ACSTH path.
Okay.
Mm.
Are you willing to consider
Mhm.
to help the students to acquire the 500 at least 100 or 200 hours, because that's a big struggle for people like me. The critical mass is not there. So if the ambition is to complete CMC certified and ready to go for PCC, all I need is to acquire up to 500. But is there anything that the school can do to help as part of the curriculum? Thank you.
I would probably say that most training providers will set up support structure like our NLP monthly, all right, or you can actually join reciprocal. There is a program called reciprocal coaching. If you were to actually Google that, it's run off from Australia. And you pay a certain fee, and you'll be paired off with other coaches who is also accumulating, and you coach each other in the process. So that's another way many of the coaches are accumulating those hours.
YK,
To
what's
the
the
Sorry,
sorry, Jelly,
Go
you
ahead,
finish
Fanny.
first.
No, Fanny, you go ahead.
Sorry. No, I just wanted to know what's the difference between the CMPC and the CMC in terms of the so-called syllabus, because I did the CMPC, right?
Yes. So CMPC, we actually taught you how to coach at the PCC level. CMC, we teach you how to coach at the MCC level. So in other words, the depth of your coaching will be more in depth, transforming the person. So for example, CMPC, we teach you how to focus on a person. All right. And whereas CMC, you focus on the person and what are the liver points that you actually uh, go into to help the person get awareness. So actually, it is applying the ICF competency at the deeper level.
Okay, can I ask my question now?
Sure.
Okay, to the market, the people in the market who use coaches, a CMC certification, from your experience, how do they value this certification? I mean, do they put value to it or not?
Yeah. So there are actually three categories of clients. First category of clients are those who are not aware of all these credentials and certification, and they just look for coaches, and basically they look for experienced people who can help them, so they don't ask for anything like this. There's a second category of clients who says that we want to work with coaches who have been trained, all right, and they don't specifically say that you must be ICF credential. So as long as you're trained and you can show proof that you're trained, you will probably have an edge over people who cannot show proof that they are trained. And right now, I would probably say that 10 or 15% of the informed clients, those who have actually or started the coaching culture in the organization, they are very aware of what the credential coach can do and the depth of level that they've been trained. And most of the time, they will say credential coach preferred. All right, so it depends on which category of clients request for that service.
Another question, if I may. By the end of the course on CMC, how many hours do you reckon, estimation, a rough estimation, how many hours would you reckon the coach would have acquired under coaching hours, including whatever has been taught in CMC? I just want to see the gap.
All right, so if you just look at the graduation requirement of CMC, you just need 12 hours. Anything above 12 hours, it will be at your own motivation and focus to accumulate. But the requirement is basically minimum 12 hours to complete, plus other requirements, which I will show in my next slide.
No more questions from me on this slide. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Any other question on this slide? All right. I will then go to the next slide then, and this is the final slide. So these are the requirements to complete the CMC program. Starting from the left-hand side, the lowest block, you will go through, we are running a virtual one. You're going to go through a 12 half-day virtual training. In the process, you will receive 10 hours of mentoring. And of course, the coaching requirement is 6 people, cumulative 12 hours. And then you will reflect on these 12 hours of coaching, and you will write a journal on your learning and experience. And then you will also need to write another journal about the overall learning from this program. What have you discovered over and above the coaching exercise? You are required also to review a book related to coaching or related to competencies that is needed for coaching, and write a book review, your critique, how you find that book, what was useful, what did you learn, and so on. And then you submit one recording to us, and we will send this recording to an independent assessor to listen to and see if you meet the requirements. So these are the graduating requirements for the program.
If the recording sent to the training provider has already been, say, passed, can the same recording be sent to ICF for credentialing?
You don't need to send anything to ICF for credentialing, because once you complete this program, that certificate is good enough. So no recording is required.
Sorry, then can I understand that once we complete this with the certificate on CMC, we don't need credentialing, PCC credentialing anymore from ICF?
You will need to submit for the credential, all right?
Yeah.
And when you submit a certificate, and you also attest that you've got, if you're applying for 100 ACC, you attest that you have got 100 hours. Or if you're applying for PCC, you attest that you've got 500 hours, and that's it. That's
Okay. So you can still get, and it's much simpler process then. It's a much simpler process rather than going to you don't have to do the CKA and the recording. Am I right?
I'm assuming that CKA has been done. If CKA has not been done, the only
I
test
still
by
have to
ICF
do.
is CKA, yes.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Okay, one question from me.
Sure,
Um,
Fanny.
okay, is there any validity of the CMC program for applying the PCC credential?
Valid
So,
as
so meaning if I do CMC this year, so if I and then I would like to accumulate my 500 coaching hours, for example, but it could be like, maybe next year or 2 years later. So is there like a cut-off time?
no, there's no expiry date. Once you complete, you complete. The only requirement is ICF requires 25 hours of coaching hours. That is the last 2 years.
Okay, thanks.
How often do you run this program in a year?
Once a year. And normally
But
it's
every
around
year.
once a year. Normally it's around about October, November.
But you do it every year.
Yes, every year.
Would you advise fresh graduates from CMPC to undertake this when they have not so many coaching hours yet in their sleeve?
So the advantage of doing the CMC program is you learn more in-depth technique of working with your clients, all right? And accumulating those hours, you can either accumulate the hours and then when you feel that you're ready to learn more, join this program, or you can actually join this program, learn advanced mastery techniques, and then continue to accumulate as you move along. Any other questions? All good?
Okay,
Yes.
may I know how the 12 half days will be organized?
How the 12 half days?
Yeah, like will it be weekend or?
Yes. So I can't remember the dates, but I can send you the dates. It is
October 8th.
it is
October 8th.
not a weekend, it's a weekday.
Mm.
Just let me quickly run through. Yeah, for this intake that we are running, so if I could just give you the dates now, it will be in the morning 9 to 12:30, and October it will start on October 8, 11, 15, 18, 25, 29, and then November will be 1, 5, 8, 12, 15, 19. I will send these dates in the chat group.
So
You'll
given
be
now,
really, sorry,
I
Rebecca,
hear
go
you,
ahead.
voices, yeah.
it'll be really great if it's a weekend, because like it's not easy to take leave to do this. Yeah.
I understand. I understand. Um, so yeah, maybe let me check with. We have already got about 8 participants. Let me check with them if they are okay with one of those dates on a Saturday. All right, that means one weekday on a week and one Saturday of that week. If they're okay, then we'll adjust it accordingly. I know this is a common challenge for working people. Um, yeah, and of course, there's another category of people who says, "I don't want my weekends to be taken up." So, yeah, I know. Yeah, so,
YK,
yes.
do you foresee doing face-to-face during any of these 12 half days?
Um, it can be face to face if everyone is in Klang Valley, but so far we have participants for this particular batch from Singapore and from Thailand, so it is a bit challenging.
YK, how many more seats available?
We are open for another 2 more to make it 10. And then the reason why is that we need to give personalized attention to each of them because we are actually helping them to go to a deeper level of coaching. So a lot of one-to-one feedback and so on. All right. Any final Q&A before we pause this? I know that I've taken 45 minutes of your time already. I'm going to close this. All right. So are we good to pause here? If you have further questions, just post it on the chat. And I think we have answered 95% of the questions. So we can handle the balance 5. Are we good?
All good, YK. Thanks.
Right. Thanks. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
YK.
Bye.
Thank you, YK. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.